Greetings mathematicians. Today we are going to be restricting the domain on the TI-84 Plus. Before we get into that, I do actually want to show how we're going to be doing this, and this has to do with testing an expression. So for example, 2 is less than 5, and we get an expression of, or a value, returns a value of 1, which for programming is a value that's true. This is a testing Boolean expression where we only get true or false. So for example, if I were to put 2 is, let's go back, 2 is greater than 5, obviously that's going to be false and that returns a 0. This is actually going to be the basis of how we can restrict the domain on functions. So we'll start with the linear parent function x squared. So if we graph it, we see the graph of x squared. If we look at the table, there's the table of values for x squared. Let's go ahead and start it at 0 so we can see. Actually, let's go ahead and look at from -3 to 3, and you'll see why. Okay, so here's my x squared, but what I'm going to do is at the very end of it, I'm going to put the divide sign and then open parentheses, and I'm actually going to put in a expression to test for x. So we're going to say x is, let's say, greater than or equal to, so option 4, greater than or equal to -3. Close the parentheses. Without the parentheses, obviously, it would change order of operations. And now, when I hit graph, notice that there are no values to the left of -3, but there are to the right. And if I were to go to the table, there's -3, but if I went up, it would calculate error. And that's because if we divided by 0, obviously that would be undefined, and so that returns a value of error in the calculator here. I'm going to go back to over here, and I actually want to put a compound inequality, but the way we have to put a compound inequality is actually, let me go ahead and actually just type over that second math with the logic Boolean operator of and. So let me get rid of that parentheses over here. Okay, so x is greater than or equal to -3, and x also has to be, we're going to say less than, so 5, +2, and close the parentheses. So now when we graph it, there's our parabola, and it has a restricted domain. And if we were to go to the table of values, we would see that the table does exist at 3 because it could be greater than or equal to 3, and which is what we said it would be. But when we look at +2, we notice it says error because at that value you would be dividing by 0, and it would return a value of undefined. And that's how you can restrict the domain on functions on the TI-84 Plus.